everybody. Thank you for being here. Two people asked me, are you nervous? And I said, why? Now I am. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Andy and Maxwell Bond, for feeding us and keeping us here. Sofia from Madrid, yeah, so I wish I was there, although, you know, we love Manchester. 20 years in Manchester and doing the boring side of data, yeah, so I always say I do in data what nobody else wants to do. That's why I have a living with data, yeah. With me I have now the sexy side of data, obviously.
HR.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. I work alongside Sofia at Intuita. Focusing on all things data. So we're going to be covering today some of the work that we did together at a client of ours, sharing it, just to show you guys what's possible, really, what's possible now.
Yeah. We've been in several of these events where people keep talking about use cases about AI. And obviously we let our colleagues in Accenture to talk about the great things about AI. In Twitter we are much more down to earth and we will talk about the real things that we do. As I said, I always do the boring side of data foundations, data preparation. And when everybody is talking about, are we AI ready? I thought, okay, can we use, let me check, first of all, and this is probably one of the conversations we've been having in other round tables, just a few definitions, yeah, so to put everybody in context, because I'm sure our colleagues in Accenture and Eleanor will talk about artificial intelligence and Gen AI and augmented intelligence, just a few definitions to put everybody into the same context. I'm not going to read it, yeah, they are there. They come from Gartner Business Glossary, so just to put everybody at the same level of context when we are talking about artificial intelligence. So yes, as I said, my life is about doing the boring things about data, so basically data foundations, data quality, data management, the things that nobody wants to do. And here it comes, represented by NAF, the sexy side of data. Yeah, they do this, Gen AI, all the clever things. So we said, okay, we want to get our data ready for AI. Can we use AI to get our data ready? Yeah? So finally, we can make data quality sexy. And that's what this presentation is about. Yeah? So we have a particular use case scenario. We have clients with a problem. They are a service provider, an internet service provider, and they are failing to activate their customers in a high volume.
Yeah, very high volume, yeah. So just to quantify that, they had 20,000 individual complaints, out of which came something to the tune of around 75,000 Jira tickets and thousands of phone calls along with that. So those are sort of the volumes we're working with, and this is as is the case often with telco, right? They have grown like no tomorrow, so they're really sort of dealing with these growing pains right now.
And for a telco company, that means money, yeah? So if you cannot activate a customer, you have a bleed and operational bleed and leakage, and obviously a huge customer dissatisfaction. So they wanted to do something, and obviously, if we look at traditional methods, yeah, about data quality and lineage and cataloging and doing all these type of things, it will take time, yeah? So we have to give a very rapid response to the customer.
So like even traditional sort of NLP techniques, right? They're well established, but they take time. So this was essentially looking for another means to the same end that we would have otherwise gotten to, but a lot faster. Some of the challenges. Often what we saw was one of the big things is within call centers you see it's kind of business where it's quite a lot of high turnover. So along with that, what we get is a lot of talent bleed, and a lot of that knowledge walks right back out, right out the door. So, at Intuita, we saw that as really an opportunity for us, right? Because we have a tool here which we can really soak up all of that knowledge, and we can keep it, and we can use it, and we can, learn from it. So, I think it was like a really, it was an ideal use case for us to try and deploy something And the other side of it, we really wanted to deploy something quick, and traditional existing mechanisms, though they're established and they work, it wouldn't have, it wasn't fast enough.
Any question, comment, observation so far? Are we all in the same context? Yeah? We have a problem, we look at AR to try to resolve it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? How we did it? So that's the high-level process. We had, as we said, a lot of inbound calls, yeah, from different accents and with different things to the call center. We transcribe in real time all of those calls into text. We use all the Jira tickets and all the previous knowledge that we had from previous incidents. We use some postcode analysis. Not going to go into technicalities, but you may know in the telco space, everything is based on ordnance survey and the UPRN. So we did some analysis between the postcode and the unique identifier of the premise in order to offer serviceability to the premise. And we use the sentiment analysis. So some of the calls, yeah, and some of the sentiment that these people were representing in those calls to the call center. Yeah.
So along with that, we built the knowledge base. So all of that information, right, sort of taken from its original text form or whatever it may be, in this case calls as well, into something that we could use. So I guess to those in the industry, that sounds like a RAG. And along with that, we were able to output some real business value back out to the business. So the first one being ticket classification. So we have a myriad of tickets and all of these little links between them, and it goes from one person in the business to another person, and it pings around. To be able to classify those quickly after going through, close to 100,000 of them, really brings that benefit of you get to a resolution a lot quicker. So if you can assign the correct people, if you can assign the correct tasks on those tickets a lot quicker, you get to the resolution faster. The other thing with this is because we were looking at data at such a large scale, we could see certain anti-patterns within the data, certain data quality issues, really highlight them. Otherwise, because a person dealing with this day-to-day would not have that same bird's eye view that we were fortunately able to have. And I think those are really the big pros that we were able to drive out of this in a relatively short period of time.
Thank you, Raf. And that's how we did this in terms of high-level architecture.
So in terms of the architecture itself, so as I mentioned on the left-hand side, we had our Jira tickets and we had all our call logs. So we did a bulk load of all of that information. So we used AWS for this. We use Amazon Transcribe to transcribe all of those calls into written text, bulk loaded them in, and that's really what served as the foundation of our knowledge base. So as well as the bulk load, it's like a one-time exercise to get that information up there. To really make this, usable and you can use it moving forward, we ensured that those transcriptions were actually real time. So we set up a pipeline to transcribe those calls real time to be able to make sure we picked up those new Jira ticket feeds and also make sure they also got to the right. So that's what formed our vector database. So along with that, we trialed out, a couple of different LLM models that were available on Bedrock, and we settled on Claude Sonnet. Reasoning for that would be, I guess, the main, they were all good. We tried Mistral, we tried the Llama 3.1, but with Claude, what we found was its prompt adherence was a class above the rest. And what I mean by that is, given a set of inputs and also given a set of direction saying, please make sure your output is structured in a very rigid format. It was able to follow that, time and time again, whereas the others wouldn't. The real benefit of that is it saved us a ton of time, which we would have otherwise spent, cleaning that data up, making sure it's useful, right? Really turning it into something that has structure. So to be able to get that out of the box was great. So with that information, we were able to essentially create. So you can see, this is the traditional sort of medallion architecture we have. Bronze layer, so our landing data, our silver layer, right? Some kind of transformations happened here. We've been able to go from the raw data into what we have now using Gen AI rather than other techniques. And then our gold layer. So the main basis of the gold layer was to take that information. So we asked it, a specific set of prompts. Again, so the team worked on that prompt engineering exercise. The questions were really, what really is the problem here? So summarize, right? Like a typical summarize problem. What really was like the underlying issue that caused the problem, right? So ask it to do root cause. And And then lastly, of all the problems that you've seen, we want you to try and cluster and classify them into different groups. So one of the pain points that the business had was they really struggled with accountability. So if it was a physical problem, or if it was a configuration problem, like a software problem, right? And there would be teams arguing, saying, oh no, we fit the right parts, or we haven't flashed the correct software, etc., etc. So to be able to really group that information, to be able to group that information, for the exercise to be able to understand with the data we have in front of us, and then moving forward on, I guess, a predictive principle where for a given set of inputs and all the information you have in front of you from the RAG, try and predict where this is classified. So that, along with the existing data model that the business had, so think a CRM, think the equipment data model that a typical business would have, a telco. If you married those two, what we got out was essentially two succinct different outputs. So on one side, for our customer service representatives, we were able to have an internal web app where they were able to get summaries of the problems. So say you dealt with a different person each time, we were able to transcribe those call logs from different people to give them a summary to make sure nothing was missed, and at the same time do some predictive analytics on, we think this might be the problem, maybe go down this route of path to resolution. And then from the business perspective, it was more to do with, well, let's see, we can get that aerial view that the business didn't have before. So we're able to go through these 75,000 tickets, and as more kept coming in, and break it down in terms of, these are your main issues. This is why your customer is struggling with activation. And then also, because we married that data to the existing data model that exists within the business, we're able to enrich it with information to location, what those vendors are, if it's physical problems, etc., etc. So you can really see they're able to then allocate resources pretty dynamically to say, okay, for this particular area, we may need to put some extra resource here from a software perspective or in terms of installation to really drive that change. Oh, lovely. So that was the benefits. The biggest benefit being the OpEx savings, right? And I mean, the bottom line is what counts, right? So to be able to drop average handling times meant that we had sort of quicker time to resolution. You have happier customers; those customers become your advocates, right? So, and then it's not sort of so much of like a painful situation. It shouldn't be, right? It's supposed to be seamless from their perspective. And then that also dynamos into having happier customers. In terms of lessons there?
Not sure I'm going to bring you next time, yeah? We talk all the time. Anyway, thank you now. Amazing. Yeah, if we had to do it again, how do we do it again? Obviously the human intervention was inevitable, yeah? So we had as well, and that's why, and I'm not sure your opinion on your position in this whole AI dilemma, yeah? But we like to think that, we don't want to give AI the total control, yeah? So, and the context and the design and the knowledge that the human brings is still important, at least today, yeah? Obviously, experience for the customer, yeah, and the operational user and the saving that we did for the company. Yeah, there is no silver bullet, as we are saying. Every single case is different, but we can definitely use with the right tool, yeah, and the right design, a solution for you all. So that's the main conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you.